Oh God, failed to go live. Please try. Oh, now we're live. Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me. This is Karen Yankovich. I'm here with Christina Daves, and my webinar jam just said failed to go live. So if you're here, and I see there's a lot of you here, can you come into the chat and just let me know if you can hear us, and tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from, and we're going to get started right now, but I don't want to get started until I know you can hear me. So just jump into the chat and let me know. The fact that no one's jumping into the chat right now, hopefully that doesn't mean you can't hear me.
Oh.
Christina, you can hear me though, right?
I can hear you, but that doesn't mean anything.
Okay. Yeah, I got an error message when I went live with this saying that your live failed, but then it came up with a button that said live. So I'm assuming, oh, you can hear me. Thank you, Gary.
Yay.
Okay. So all the rest of you people let's start getting engaged here. We want you to get a lot out of this course today, out of this workshop today, but we also, of course, want to hear from you as well. So, okay, so Rita from Cambridge is here. Beth, I have a message on my screen directing me to YouTube. Is that correct? Beth, you shouldn't have to go to YouTube. You should be able to just watch it right from here. But can you see? You should all be able to see Christina's the first screen that says get more customers. So first screen. So Beth, can you see that first screen? You went to the YouTube to get the live. Okay, cool. All right, Christine, thank you so much. All right, everybody, we're going to get started. And I want to welcome you all here today. And you're going to get a behind-the-scenes look of how to get more clients and customers for your business by using social media and PR together. Christina Daves and I are experts in our respective fields. We're sharing our social media strategy and public relations know-how to help you get more exposure as a business owner and to increase your sales and your profits. So in this training, you're going to learn simple step-by-step social media and PR strategies that amplify and simplify your workflow, flood you full of raving clients, and build massive trust and value around your services. So a lot of you are saying that you have the YouTube message. You should be able to watch. You shouldn't have to watch on YouTube, but where you should be able to watch it here. So I'm not sure if there was a glitch, but I also know YouTube made some changes to its Google Hangouts. So maybe that's just changed since I've done a webinar last. It really literally just happened. So as long as you can see it somewhere, I'm happy. And as long as you can still chat, I'm good with that too. Okay, so in this training, what you're going to learn about in this training is you're going to learn basically about visibility, because what we know is that visibility leads to more customers, and more customers leads to more profits. And this we know, like as Oprah says, this we know for sure, right? So before we get started, I want to let you know that we know as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, as a sales professional, we know how valuable your time is, and we're so glad that you're joining us today. To get the most out of our time, can you go ahead and grab a glass of water, turn off the phone, close the door, just do whatever you need to do that will help you settle in and focus for the duration of our time together. We move really quickly during this workshop. We now know that studies show that multitasking means we're getting less done, and I really want you to catch everything. And you guys are still asking about YouTube, so I'm just gonna kind of jump in here for a second and just let everybody know, okay to watch on YouTube, because as long as you can see it and you can still chat here, it could be the new Google Hangouts that's happening. So the bottom line is that we're here today because we know how important it is for you to get more customers. We know how powerful these free tools are that we're going to talk about today, social media and PR, to make that happen. So I'm a social media strategist, and I specialize in personal branding. Basically, I help entrepreneurs, creatives, small business people. I help them create, develop, and leverage a social media strategy that will increase their profits. This sounds so simple, right? But if you're reading this, you know it's not simple. So some people are still saying it's not working. Click watch the video on YouTube in the middle of the screen to watch. Thank you, Kate, for letting us know that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about me, so you get a little background on me. I grew my combined social media followers significantly in 2015 because I started to get this visibility thing, right? I started to get that the more visibility I had, the more customers I customers I got, the more profitable I was, right? So in 2015, I made a concerted effort to grow my followers in a very targeted fashion, right? I don't need to buy followers. It doesn't do me any good. I want followers that potentially will hire me eventually, right? Double that in 2016. And it's also important to understand that I use social media to generate $25 sales and $20,000 a year clients. And I have had clients, I can think of one in particular that reached out to me, and he's an author. I still work with him. He's an author, and he was coming out with a new book, and he reached out to me. He wanted to promote his new book on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter. And right, 4 platforms is a lot of work. That's a big fat him, because it's, you know, if you want me to do all of that work for all of those platforms, that's a lot of time. So, quote, he immediately sent back the contract signed. I sent him an invoice. He paid it in like 5 minutes. I was like, who is this guy? Right? Like, I still don't even know who he was. I didn't know where he came from. Obviously, I put that in my intake process now. How did we first meet? But I finally asked him, I'm like, so tell me, where did we first meet? How did we get to know each other? And he said, oh, I've been following you on LinkedIn. I really like the stuff that you do, that you talk about and that you do, and I wanted to see what you could do for me. So I'm telling you that. Now, this was probably like a $4,000 to $5,000 a month client. Okay, so I'm telling you this because it's important you know that it's not just to get those $5 clients. So Catherine, you're saying the audio keeps breaking up. I wish I could do something about that. I don't know why that happens sometimes, but hopefully you guys can still hear me. And important to know, and you're going to hear a lot about this today, I also increased my email list by over 400% in 2015. And that's really another very important statistic, and you're going to understand why as we go through this workshop today. So now I want to just turn this over to Christina. You've heard me talk a little bit, and I want Christina to introduce herself and say hello.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I'm Christina Daves, and I'm the PR piece of this. And what's really important for you guys to understand, Karen, there's a really bad echo. See if I can turn my volume down a little bit. Is that better?
I don't have an echo for you.
Oh, I'm hearing it maybe through your computer. Okay. So anyway, what's really important to understand is I'm the PR piece of it, but I have no background in public relations or publicity. I actually majored in political science and German. I never even took a communications class. So that's really important. And just to give you like a quick background on me, so I graduated from college and I had a job in Europe, and my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And, you know, it was a time before FaceTime and cell phones. And so I decided to stay, to change all my plans. And my dad passed away not too long after that. And then I had a sister who was a freshman, and I felt like I really couldn't leave her. So my whole future in business was in total disarray. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. That kind of started my path of entrepreneurship. So I started a really fun event planning company with some friends, and I did land development during the data center boom. I owned a brick and mortar retail store for almost 10 years. So I can relate to a lot of you guys here on the call. But in 2009, I sold my store and I quote unquote retired for a year, which for all the entrepreneurs on this call, you know that never really works. Once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. So I had this freak accident on vacation, and it was the day before I was going to New York City, fashion capital of the world. I actually broke my foot.
Christina, I'm just going to interrupt you a second. Can you change the slide?
Oh, yeah. You guys want to know about me? Sorry. Karen usually does this slide, so bear with me. Sorry, guys. So this is me. So anyway, I'm in this boot, this broken foot, and I was on my way to New York, and I'm Googling on the train, you know, medical boot fashions, medical boot accessories, and there was nothing on the market. So I started this company. It's Cosmetic Designs, and it's this fashion accessory line for medical boots. But the problem was, you know, I created this great product, but it was a new space in the marketplace. And, you know, I had to let the world know that they needed to decorate their medical boots. Well, I had no money for advertising, no money for PR. I spent way too much on inventory, and I had a product that no one knew existed. So I was in really big trouble if I didn't figure out, you know, how to get exposure for it and how to sell product. So I made a ton of mistakes along the way, but then I started figuring things out, and I figured out some DIY PR systems that really, really worked. And I started booking myself everywhere, and I started selling tons and tons of product, and I was making pretty good money. So I've been on shows like the Steve Harvey Show. I've been on Dr. Oz. I've been on local affiliates of NBC, CBS, and ABC. I've been on my local Fox station 5 times for medical booths. And that's really important for you guys to understand, because you don't have to be a one and done with a media outlet. You know, you can be a repeat person and you can get tons of exposure. I've also been in national magazines like Forbes and Success, Entrepreneur, newspapers like the Washington Post, and I've even had celebrities like Diana Ross wear my product. So because of all this, I've kind of become known as this DIY PR maven. You know, that's my expertise, showing people like you how to profit from getting their own free publicity for their product, service, or brand without spending a fortune on advertising or hiring expensive PR firms. I'm a best-selling author on the topic. Personally, I've appeared in over 250 media outlets, and the last one's the most important one. Together with my students, we've generated well over 7 figures in sales from free publicity. And I've done all of this just from outside of the box thinking and getting creative, and that's what I'm really excited to show you guys here today. So how many of you would like to get a few million eyeballs on your business? Everybody, right? So when I was on the Steve Harvey Show, I got a ton of business, as you can imagine. You know, he's the king of daytime television, and I actually won his inventors competition. So I'm always looking for new ways to get exposure, because that one appearance on the Steve Harvey Show, I made over 6 figures in sales for a product that retails from $7 to $24. So when I saw that Diana Ross had broken her foot and was in a boot, I tried to reach her. And long story short, I got to her publicist, who had me send him an email that he forwarded on to her. She loved my product, and she wore it when she sang for the president here in DC for Christmas in Washington. And thank goodness for Getty, there were pictures. So then not only did I promote it like crazy, but I went back to the Steve Harvey Show and shared it with them. And guys, this is one email, and this is what happened.
To one of Christina's boots and started rocking it. So if the one and only diva, the diva of divas, Miss Diana Ross, can rock it, then you know it's got to be good.
All right, can you imagine, you guys, my sales skyrocketed again? That's basically $1 million endorsement from Steve Harvey. But why stop with a few million eyeballs, right? What would you guys do if you could get 7 million eyes on your product? So back in February, I got myself and my product on the Today Show. And if you watched Today, you might remember that Savannah Guthrie had broken her foot and was in a boot. Well, I tried all the traditional methods to pitch my product, but it was sweeps, you know, February sweeps time, and they are not going to put a product on during sweeps, period. Just make a note to yourself on that. So I took matters into my own hands, and I took a picture of Savannah in her boot, and I superimposed my product on it. I jumped on hotels.com. I found this great hotel for $99. You got to love last minute deals. I bought a $40 bus ticket, and I went to New York City, and all the stars aligned and everything went crazy perfect. I mean, wasn't supposed to. People said, you can't do this, and it worked. And I calculated out all the airtime that I got. Was over $100,000 in free advertising. 7 million people saw Cosmetic Designs, and this whole concept of decorated medical boots that, you know, if they didn't know about it, and Savannah referred to me as the boot lady, so I have a little nickname from that. But she came over and took this picture, and she said, we gave you a ton of airtime. I hope you get a ton of business. So I have so many more stories like this. And imagine if you did something like that, even locally. You know, what kinds of things can you do to get more customers in the door? So here's another really cool video that Karen found that kind of really emphasizes everything we're going to talk to you guys about today.
We all know that place. The pizza joint that used to be a massage clinic. That used to be a florist. A daycare. Dojo. And a nail salon. Was it the location? Or did they not know how to market their business to stay in business?
So you can see that marketing like it's 1999 is a detriment to your business. And we want to get you guys thinking in terms of 2016 and thinking in today's marketing strategies versus some outdated ones. So how many of you guys here today have heard of Venmo? So Venmo is an app that's used to exchange money, and people, especially millennials, they don't write checks to each other anymore. They Venmo stuff back and forth. It's instant and there's no money or no paper involved. You know, I have a freshman in college and he's a Treasure of his Pledge class and he pays for everything. You know, they all pay him back with Venmo. So I don't know if anybody on here watched the Battle of Bristol. I'm a Virginia Tech Hokie diehard, and they played Tennessee. This was the largest college football game ever. So of course game day was there. And this kid in the back did this poster, "Hi mom, send beer money." And he put his Venmo account, Sam C2270. Okay, would you believe the kid, random people sent him money. He got over $3,000 for beer money. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. Oh, Karen?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Well, you're up, hon.
Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to fix the sound on my end here so that sound is a little better. So, you know, that's the fun part of Venmo, right? Like, how can we use this cool new digital way of exchanging money, right? How can we use that? But what does that mean for us as entrepreneurs? Like, how does that apply? What do you care about that, right? Why do you care about Venmo? Well, I'll give you an example. I mean, we have a lot of clients that are real estate agents, and a little tidbit about me. I just sold my house and I'm buying a new house, and I'm buying the house. It's a private sale. I'm buying it from someone I know, and she says to me, "Kara, I really don't want your check every month. You know, like I don't want to have to go to the bank." And I go, "Neither do I." So I'm going to Venmo her my mortgage payment every month. And we're, you know, again, you're probably going, so why do I care about that? The reality is we have to keep on top of what's happening in the digital market because it is affecting us. So maybe it's not Venmo that's affecting you, but what could be affecting you? What other kinds of things could be affecting you, right? So we as business owners have to be watching what's happening in the digital world and changing too. So, Christina, we need a new slide.
Oh, I have it up.
So let's just look at this, right? How many of you guys, when I bought my house that I just sold in 1988, this is where I bought it. I went to an open house that I saw in the newspaper, right? And this is how realtors marketed in 1999. You know, if they're marketing and if this is what they're doing now, how many houses do you think they're selling, right? That's not really, you know, that's not the way to do this anymore. How many customers do you think realtors get today if they're marketing online in their local newspaper? A lot. So let's talk about those newspapers. The newspapers know this. The newspapers know that we're not getting the paper delivered to our house anymore and opening it up, maybe the Sunday paper, maybe with your coffee, but on a Tuesday morning, I mean, who's getting the newspaper delivered? We're turning on our iPads and we're getting our news this way, right? And the newspapers know this. So they know they've had to move their content to where their audience's eyes are. Okay, they know that if they want to stay in business, if they want to stay profitable, they've got to change their business to where their eyes are. Just like with Venmo, we have to know where our prospects' eyes are. But like, what about a pizzeria, right? So what about a pizzeria? Is Giovanni from Giovanni's Pizzeria still taking ads out in the local newspaper? Or if he's smart, maybe he's Instagramming some mouth-watering pictures of his pepperoni pizza special of the day, right? Which do you think gets someone to walk in his door and buy a slice of pizza? Example might be, you know, Allstate Insurance. We've all seen this, right? We've all seen the ads on the shopping carts. And, you know, I do think that this is still a good way to market. Realtors, insurance agents, other businesses are using this successfully for years, and they're going to gain visibility, right? They're going to gain local recognition by marketing this way. People in the supermarket are going to recognize them. But what about this? I don't know about you, but when I run out of tea, I put it on my Amazon shopping list, right? I put it on my Amazon shopping list. Amazon delivers for free in 2 days, and I'm busy. I want convenience. I don't even pay for it. I have Amazon Prime, right? So I'm doing that. I'm shopping at my local farmer's market. I love fresh fruits and vegetables. So what does this mean? It means that while, yes, of course, I go to the grocery store, I go a lot less. Maybe once or twice a month instead of once or twice a week, which might have been the case in 1999, right? And oh, you know what? I'm also that person that pays $18 once or twice a month for the local grocery store to deliver my groceries. I don't even have to lug those cases of water and Tide and laundry detergent, all that heavy stuff, right? So much easier than lugging them. I can shop in bulk when things are on sale. So I think I feel like I save that $18 over and over. So, I don't walk through the ShopRite with 8 cases of water in my cart. I have it delivered. So you can see where I'm going with this. Those insurance agents should be looking to market where their prospects' eyes are and less people are walking through the grocery store. We know that 67% of a typical buyer's journey is now done digitally. Okay, so here's more. Take a look at this slide with all of these numbers here. I really love this because I'm actually like an analytics geek. So in January 2016, there were 7.4 billion people in the world. 7.4 billion people in the world. And according to this study, 3.4 billion, so a penetration of 46%, were internet users. Now remember, in that 7.4 billion, we're counting babies, we're counting people that live in countries that don't even have electricity, never mind internet, right? So I'm gonna guess that penetration in first world countries is a lot higher. It's probably closer to 70, 80, maybe even 90% of the population are internet users. And then taking that down another step, 31% are active social media users. So again, if we're going to say that 46% penetration is probably higher in a more metropolitan area or even a rural area, but places that have electricity, right? And we're not counting babies, then that 31% penetration of active social media users is probably closer to 70%. And again, I'm kind of doing a lot of presuming here, but I think you can see. I think maybe you'll agree. So sorry, you guys, I didn't turn my house phone off before we did this, so we're just gonna have to let that ring for a second. It never rings, by the way. I don't think it's rang in 3 weeks. So anyway, so if you look at this, active social media users doesn't mean the guy that got on Facebook 3 years ago and hasn't turned it on again. Active social media users. These are people that use social media every single day. Right? So this is where, if you want the most eyes on what you're doing, you need to be here. This is what gets you the most visibility, and this is only going to keep growing. So it's really important, and it's vital to consider your digital footprint when you're marketing in 2016 and beyond. So, let's talk about Google, right? If you put my name in a Google search, what comes up is my digital footprint. Now, I do a lot of work on that. And if you know anything about me at all, I'm a massive LinkedIn evangelist. And that's why I'm a LinkedIn evangelist, because to me, it's really, really important that you're taking control of that digital footprint. And LinkedIn is a way to help you do that, right? You can increase the visibility of your digital footprint with keywords, with the right keywords and things like that. So we need to be regularly Googling ourselves and then taking control of what we're finding in that digital footprint.
And here's a perfect example of what you're talking about, Karen. So 2 years ago, if you Googled me, if you Googled Christina Daves, Christina Aguilera came up. And so did a famous Christina Daves in Atlanta who sings the national anthem for the Braves and the Falcons. But today, if you Google me, I come up on the first 14 pages of Google. And this was all done organically through free publicity, and it didn't take very long. And it's really impressive when prospective clients check me out and they see that.
You gotta change.
So imagine if you're a seasoned realtor and you see this kid. Like, what is he, like 18 years old? Come on, he's an expert on television. How does it make you feel? But he has probably, very likely, a strong digital footprint. So when he pitched a story, he checked out because of what was on his LinkedIn profile and what was on his social media. So that's why this young kid is an expert in an LA television market, which is a huge market, talking about real estate. What do you think happens if someone is checking out local jewelers on Facebook and they see a page like this with 150,000 likes? Are they going to go to the jewelry store with 100 likes, or are they going to go to the one that 150,000 people like, right? Imagine if you have a boutique and you hold a holiday open house, but nobody comes. They're all your competitors because they were using Facebook Live and Periscope, and they were teasing people all week with what they were going to see at the open house. You know, and worst of all would be if 2016 didn't turn out like you hoped, and you're going to have to go work a second part-time job over the holidays. And even worse, we just found out that Macy's, who's a holiday shopping staple, is closing a ton of stores because so many people are shopping them digitally and not physically in the stores anymore. So even a part-time job might be tough to come by. But we want to help you with all of this. So today we're going to show you guys how to get massive exposure for your business by mastering getting on television, radio, in magazines and newspapers for free. We're going to show you how to turn your social media fans, friends, and followers into high-paying customers. We're going to show you the one thing you need to have in your social media bag of tricks for maximum profitability. We're going to show you how to gain exposure and get more clients and customers. And we're going to show you how to use social media to connect and build relationships with the media to amplify your efforts. So what does all of this mean for you? It means you get seen as the expert. It means you get to reduce that huge social media and PR learning curve, and you can be strategic instead of random in your work. You can get more people working with you, massively increasing your profitability.
You know, all of this boils down to visibility, and we've known that for years, right? I mean, smoke signals were visibility, right? How do you know somebody's how do you get some somebody's attention, right? Yellow pages were visibility in, when we were talking in 1999, yellow pages were still what we used for visibility. Planes flying over the beach with banners is visibility, right? Billboards are visibility. We need visibility in order for our businesses to flourish.
So I'd love to share a quick story with you guys. I have a former client who's a doctor of naturopathy, and she has done all of her own publicity, and she's a rock star. She's been featured in every major health and beauty magazine and program you can think of. All these on here and probably more. This is just the last update from her. But she's got massive visibility using free publicity. So what kind of credibility do you think this gives her when people come to her website to check her out? And she's been quoted in all of these national publications. She's an absolute rock star in her industry.
So what do you think happens when someone sees her in one of these magazines, right? They go and they check out her website, and hopefully she has a way to capture email addresses on her website, so she's able to regularly grow her email list with all of these media appearances, right? So you see how starting to see where this all starts to work together? So where do you start, right? Where do you start? You start with a strategy, and for today we're going to call that strategy list building. Okay, so the strategy here is that you want to get warm leads so that you can begin to establish trust, and that can be done through an email list. So many businesses we speak to, so many businesses we speak to don't even know how to do this, right? So you're going to learn how to grow your business by growing your list. I double or triple the size of my email list every year, and we're putting those exact same systems into the processes we teach you today. So this is really, really important. A big part of your social media strategy is determining how to move people from being social media followers to opting in to be on your email list. So I want to say this again, because if you've got a pen in your hand, you should be writing this down. A big part of your social media strategy is determining how to move people from being social media followers to opting in to be on your email list. So let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg for a second. Mark Zuckerberg, he owns Facebook. We don't own our followers on Facebook, right? Now, I don't think Facebook is going anywhere anytime soon, but if he decided to close it tomorrow, it's gone. That whole source of contacts for you that you've taken all that time to build is gone. Blab, right? If you guys remember Blab was a platform that came on the scene, made a big impact, and then all of a sudden just decided to close up shop one day, right? So one way to take control of your social media to start the path to profitability is to drive those followers to your email list. So a few years ago, I heard Christina on a webinar talking about PR and how to use LinkedIn to accelerate your efforts. You know, I mentioned I'm a LinkedIn geek, and I loved what Christina was saying. So I messaged her on LinkedIn, and we started chatting, and we started collaborating on private clients and using PR and social media together, and our clients' profits started to explode. We realized that together we were better. Christina understands PR strategies, but it's not her zone of genius. I know social media, it's not Christina's zone of genius. So I think I just said that backwards. I understand PR strategies, but it's not my zone of genius. It's Christina's zone of genius. Christina knows social media, but it's not her zone of genius. Together, when we apply the social media strategies I use with the PR strategies Christina uses, we started to see huge successes. So fast forward a few years later, and we're working together on private clients every day, loving it, but it's a ton of work, right? It's a ton of work, so it's an expensive proposition. I mean, I mentioned earlier what that investment was for that private client. So for a small business owner, it was really out of their budget. So it was our desire to find ways to share these secrets with our audiences more affordably, and Get Seen, Be Heard was born. So what we now know is social media strategy with some public relations savvy leads to getting seen and being heard. So Christine and I have developed a 3-phase system based on our experiences with our private clients so that you can start to get in on that magic also. In this 3-phase system, you're gonna learn the secret to being seen as rock star social media, the secret to getting media attention, and a little known trick for using social media and PR together for powerful results. So in phase 1, it creates a social media plan that leads to profits. So think about how this applies to your business, and apply these principles with the knowledge that you will. And it really doesn't matter what you're selling. There's so much you can do with a solid social media strategy. This is where you start to see the profits soar, right? But where do you start? So you start with a goal. You start with a goal for your social media marketing. You reverse engineer it so that you get the kind of profitable results mentioned above. This is what most people overlook, right? They can't hide behind their computers and expect to have a fantastic social media marketing campaign. And of course, there's always going to be more than one goal, and each goal needs to have its own social media strategy. So maybe those cat videos are strategic, but for the sake of being able to dig in deeply to one topic today, we're going to focus on list building. We've already touched on how powerful list building has been for my business and how important it can be for a business. Imagine if for a second you could create a social media strategy that would build your email list every single day. This is what we want for you. We want you to understand the power of social media, and remember that list building is measurable. So I know what a lot of you are thinking right now, because I hear this all the time. I can pay my kid or my neighbor or my nephew to post pictures on Facebook for me. Yep, your son or daughter can do that for you, but at what cost to your business, right? There's no strategy involved. And if it's just random posting, there's going to be no results. But let's say you do go this route. Let's say you say your son or your daughter that you want 5 Facebook posts a week, and that's all you want, so they do it. They post 1 post every other day or so on Facebook with no plan, and what happens? Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Not one new client comes in. Not one old client calls and says they saw something on Facebook. And then you start thinking, and you call me and you say, Facebook doesn't work, right? What an awful feeling. So with all due respect, I want to tell you that if just randomly posting 5 posts per week on Facebook, it's not going to work. You won't increase your business. You need to take time to decide what the end game is and educate yourself on the fact that social media is the beginning of the funnel, not a magic wand for bringing in clients, right? Let that be a bonus when it happens. So let's just talk about that funnel for a second, the beginning of the funnel. This is really important. If you guys want to take a quick screen, like a picture of this slide, I would definitely do that. Take a quick screen grab of this. Social media, you can see here, and I should put social media and PR, truthfully, is at the top of this funnel. It is not necessarily where the sales come in. It's where we start getting that visibility. It's where people start to get to know our name, right? And then you can see as you go down the funnel, like I mentioned to you, a goal with social media is to drive traffic to your website, right? And what happens when they get to your website? We want them to opt into our email list. And then what happens to them then? Now, if they've opted into our email list, now they're a lead, right? And those leads are what turn to sales. So this is really important. If you think that those posting on Facebook is going to take you right to the sales, you're missing the big picture. You need to increase your visibility so that you increase the number of people that go into the top of the funnel so that more people can come out of the bottom of the funnel, right? So social media is at the top, driving traffic to your website comes next, which is hopefully capturing leads that are turning into sales, right? So do you see how that works? So back to our list building strategy, you need a plan for best practice for social media marketing, and you need to set measurable goals for that best practice. In phase 1 of the Get Seen, Be Heard marketing plan, you have to set a goal. So for the purposes of this workshop, list building is going to be the goal, and let's set a list building growth goal. So on Facebook, you probably know that getting eyes on posts isn't easy these days. Usually we recommend an ad budget, not complicated retargeting strategies, but a budget to boost some posts and get more likes, right? A normal posting strategy for Facebook is 2 times a day. I'm actually ready to drop that to 1 time a day with really great content. Each post has a purpose, even the inspirational ones or the cat videos, right? They're scattered in messages over the week. But at least 3 times a week, you're going to post a juicy picture of something that grabs attention and gives the opportunity to grab a freebie, right? And that, of course, adds people to your email list. These are the posts that often get boosted, and there's other kinds of posts that you can boost. And this is the beginning of the path to using Facebook to grow your email list. And if you're not sure what type of freebie to offer, come on over to the Get Seen, Be Heard Facebook group, and we'll help you brainstorm. So I mentioned that you might have different goals in social media. I want you to hear what one of our students had to say. Her goal, she's a realtor, and her goal was to get more eyes on one of her properties. So she took one of our courses, and I want you to hear what she had to say after she boosted her very first post.
First week or 2, I was intimidated in what you were asking us or telling us we should do. And then I got over myself and, as you suggested, did little things and tweaked my LinkedIn page. And then I had this suggestion from you. I went on my Facebook business page. I paid $9 for a Facebook boost of my new listing, which is a 55 and older first floor patio level condo. And you get to choose a demographic. So I said 10 miles and people who are 55 and over. And I had 1,293 views that were not the regular people that I would have had. And almost 100 of them did direct action, clicking further, looking at pictures. I know 3 calls that came as an inquiry off of $9. Where can you spend $9 and get a boost? At first I signed up for $5 for 1 day, and I saw that it was getting exposure. So they offered, for $4 more, you can get 6 days more. So that would have never happened without your suggestion, and I want to thank you for that.
I mean, I was actually driving when we were doing this we have a program, we have a Q&A call in it. I literally had tears in my eyes because this is what we want. Like, people say, oh, well, Facebook, you have to pay to play. This girl paid $9 and got 3 solid lead phone calls into her office about a property, right? So yes, on Facebook, you're gonna have to boost, you may have to pay to grow your Facebook page and to get that additional visibility, but it's so affordable. I want you to have your mind open to that. So on Twitter, it's even easier. A big part of that goal is to grow your followers very strategically. So that involves tweeting a lot, right? A lot, 20 times a day, once an hour maybe. If that number sounds crazy to you, remember Twitter's noisy and requires a regular posting strategy all day long, every day, which is most of that can be set up on autopilot. I don't want you to have all of your Twitter strategy on automated stuff, but you definitely can automate a lot, things to your blog posts, things like that. And mixed into those automated posts are 4 or 5 posts a day, most of which that have pictures, right? Because we like pictures that drive traffic to your email opt-in gift, right? So no additional budgets even needed to get those additional eyes on Twitter and to grow your list with this strategy. On Instagram, it's really easy. You only have 1 clickable link, so you make sure it's to something that points the followers to a page that grows your email list. And then several times a week, post a picture that leads to click the link in my bio to get, right? Are you starting to get the picture? You are directing a strategy, and it's not rocket science. So here's a bonus tip. Create a separate page to drive the traffic to, a lead page, a squeeze page, a sales page, whatever you want to call it. when you drive traffic to the homepage to get on your email list, and people do this all the time, well, they can get on my homepage. But what happens then is people often get distracted, right? You've got a great video. Hopefully you have lots of juicy stuff on your homepage. So we don't want them to get distracted because they're never going to get around to giving you their name and email address, which is why they clicked that link in the first place. So you want all the links on all your tweets, all your Facebook posts, all your social media traffic to go to this unique lead page or squeeze page or landing page. And then once the follower gives you their name and email address, then you can pop up the homepage where they can get more information, right? This is lead acquisition goal. And remember, this is measurable, right? How often can you point to something that's measurable in your social media marketing and show its ROI, right? Its return on investment. Not that often. So for this, you're able to set up the metrics. You can set up a Google Sheet and log the number of followers across social media, right? Measure each month how they grow and measure the numbers of people on your email list and how that grows, right? This is your social proof. This is your proof of, is this working or not? It's big deal stuff, and it's really, really easy. So what I want you to do now is think about some measurable goals that you can list for yourself and write them down. Okay, write them down. And then think about some strategies you can use for this. What kinds of strategies can you use to grow your email list, to grow your Facebook followers, to grow your Twitter followers? And write that down. And create a worksheet listing facts and figures and dates and numbers of followers, whatever's relevant, and update it monthly. If the numbers aren't moving, then you need to think about what can you do differently, especially if you put a lot of time into it that month. And don't forget engagement. You can track engagement on Facebook and on Twitter, right? So if you can track that a high percentage of posts are getting great engagement, that's also measurable. So we have a free tracking worksheet for you. If you want, you can download it. Just text SM Tracker to 33444 and you can get our template for that. This is really important because you know, if you're tracking how many followers you have in October 1st and how many you had November 1st and how many you have December 1st, and if you do this consistently next year, you can look at October and say, oh, you know what, I had that great Halloween campaign and look how much it grew. Maybe I'll do something like that again this year, right? This is how this becomes a part of a marketing plan, not just I do Facebook, right? So, but what's important is that to get them from those social media followers to your email list, you have to have an offer. So let's talk about your offer. I want you to just think about this for a second. You don't have to, number one, you don't have to have one offer. You can have multiple offers. So, you know, if you, I have a free 3 video series. I have a free ebook. I have a couple of free ebooks. I have all different things that get you onto my email list. So it could be something simple. I've seen people, in fact, when I was looking at trying to find something new, I thought, some of you guys know Marie Forleo is one of my mentors, and I took B School and I loved it, and I really think she does a really good job with her marketing. So I go, I'm going to opt into her email list. I want to see what her email offer is. You know what her email offer is? 3 popular blog posts. So she didn't even create a separate document. She says to get on my email, to get some free marketing tips, get my free 3 marketing tips. And when I got the return email, it had 3 links to 3 of her most popular blog posts. And this is Marie Forleo, who has millions of followers. So you don't overthink this, is what I'm saying. Make it simple, but get it done. It's really important that you do that. So now we're going to move on to phase 2. So we finished up phase 1, right? We're going to move on to phase 2, the secrets to getting in the media.
Thanks, Karen. Phase 1 is awesome. Now phase 2, PR, and this is what I love and what I'm passionate about, because I have done all of this by myself for free and have had amazing success, and I know that all of you guys can do the same thing. So what is publicity? Well, it's not advertising. And I'm sure most of you at some point have paid for advertising. You know, and I'm not talking about, like Karen said, boosting a post. I'm talking about in your local newspaper, on the radio, or you've had postcards printed. You know, this is something that you pay for, and it's a message you create and you push out to people. The cool thing about publicity, it's when somebody else writes about you or talks about you, and they've decided to use you or your business in their story, so you have all this extra credibility. And they actually call publicity earned media. You know, it means someone else is telling the world how great you are. It's not advertising you paid for. It's a neutral third party talking about you, and it's free. You know, you don't pay for publicity, you get it for free. So I love to use this example because we all have a Joe's Pizza in our community. So let's say you're flipping through your local paper and there's an ad, and Joe's Pizza put the ad in and it says best pizza outside of New York City. And then you flip a few more pages and you see an article that says hidden New York pizza gem. And the person who's writing the article used to live in Brooklyn, but moved to your community 3 years ago. And he says, oh my gosh, this is the best pizza I've had since I left New York. So which one is going to make you buy the pizza, right? The ad or the article? So everybody knows Sir Richard Branson, right? Billionaire business owner of the Virgin brand. Well, he can certainly afford advertising, but he's been quoted as saying, publicity is absolutely critical. A good PR story is infinitely more effective than a full-page ad. And that's because of that third-party trust. It's that earned media. You didn't pay for spreading your message. Somebody else is spreading it for you. So if Richard Branson, who has billions of dollars to spend on advertising, is saying how valuable PR is, don't you see how valuable this is, and how I want you guys to listen and figure out, how you can get publicity for yourself. So imagine if you were listed as an expert on any of these national media outlets. What would that do for your business? How much credibility would that give you, and what could you charge now that you're on all these national media outlets? Okay, so do you want to see the power of publicity? I love to do this little test. So how many of you would hire this person as your financial advisor? And I want you to write in the chat whether you would or you wouldn't. And I know it takes just a little delay, but Karen, anyone saying anything yet?
Not yet. Nope, I don't see anybody saying. So put in the chat if whether or not you would hire this guy, and if so, or if not, why or why not. Let us know in the chat. Chat has been slow today, so okay. I don't see anybody in here, but I'm going to say no, I wouldn't hire him. Right. He looks like he just got out of bed.
Right. And that's what, I use this example all the time. That's what people say. They're like, oh my gosh, it looks like he just came in from last night. He looks disheveled. But then
we have people saying, no, I wouldn't hire him.
Okay. But now would you? And this is, all of a sudden you have those logos, which gives that perceived credibility. So you might think, oh, well, maybe he hit some wind when he ran in before his headshot, or, they just clicked the picture too early. But if he's been on MSNBC and Fox and ABC, this guy's got to be credible. And there are actually studies that prove that when you have those logos, you have that added perceived value. So imagine what it would mean for you to have all those logos on your website. And again, it bears repeating, because if you've been in all those places, you're getting more visibility. So more visibility means more customers, which means more profits.
Christina, we have some skeptics in the group. They're still not sure they would hire him.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't, but a lot of
the studies that are showing those logos make a big difference.
They do, yeah, and it is proof that there are studies that show that. So bottom line, I want you guys to get those logos on your website and not have a headshot like that. But how many of you feel like this when it comes to pitching the media? I know, oh my gosh, when I first started and first time I called my local NBC, I could barely speak. I was so nervous. It was awful. But with anything, you're green at the beginning, and it becomes muscle memory. The more you do it, the better and better you get at it. And, when I first started, I was awful. Now I pick up the phone like it's nothing, or do a pitch like it's nothing and follow up. So that's what I want you guys to be. I want you to get that confidence about it. And if you don't believe me, maybe you will believe Lester Holt and two of our NBC anchors from the DC area, who I caught this clip of a little ad that they did.
It's a privilege to cover the news. It's also a responsibility.
One of the things that I really do find joyful, that people are not shy, and they don't mind approaching any of us in the grocery store, at the bar.
That makes us better.
Absolutely.
I really think that. I love when people give you feedback. It makes us better.
One of the things that I really like is the number of story ideas that come from our connections to the community.
So did you hear that, what she said at the end? They love story ideas that come from their connections to the community. And that's you guys. So how do you start doing this? How do you start getting media coverage for your business? Well, I figured out this kind of three-pronged approach for PR success. And you need to have all three things in place to massively increase your odds of getting publicity. You have to be newsworthy, you have to be able to write a great hook, and you need to find the right journalist. And why do you need all three? Well, let's say you have a really good newsworthy story and you know how to write a hook, which is that subject line, so they're going to open it, but you don't know the right journalist. Well, if you send your business story to the food editor, guess what? They're not going to forward it. Let's say you have a really newsworthy story idea, you know the right journalist, but you don't know how to hook them in on that email to get them to open your email, they're never going to see it. Or let's say you know how to write that great hook, you know the right journalist, but your story isn't good. Well, they're probably going to delete it, and then they might never open another email for you again. So in a minute, I'm going to go over like how to make yourself newsworthy, but I want to touch on the other two real quickly because we are running a little short on time. So hooks. Hooks are headlines. It's what you use to draw a journalist in to read the email. And once you get the hang of it with a bit of training, they're really easy to write. Now, if you want to see great examples of hooks when you're in the grocery store line, just look at the magazine covers. People get paid a ton of money to hook you in to buy that magazine to read that article. Personally, I think that AARP is brilliant at them. All you have to do is Google AARP magazine covers. You can see hundreds of them. And plug and play, see how you can put your business into that. But I really think that they're the best at writing hooks. Here are a couple of real life ones that we've used. I had a client who has a patented coat for children on car seats, and she got a lot of coverage using car seats and coats, a deadly combination. You know, think of television when they say coming up next. You know, if you had a child and you heard coming up next, car seats and coats, a deadly combination, you're going to sit through those ads to see what that story is about. Here's another one. College is the worst investment a parent can make. I have a freshman in college. I want to know why that's the worst investment I've made. And this was one that I did for Vail Beaver Creek magazine. What skiers fear most, and it's not an avalanche, which of course it's looking terrible in the lodge when you have to spend the rest of your week on vacation and you're in a boot. But that last one I want to share with you because it's really important that if you don't hear back from the media, it's not necessarily a no. It could be a not now. It might just not fit right now. I did this pitch and I heard back a year later when they said, hey, it didn't work last year, but we loved it. It fits this year. You know, are you still in business? Can you send pictures? And I've interviewed several journalists about this, and they say, you know, that they feel bad that they're too busy sometimes to email back, but they do keep a file on hand with really good story ideas. So just remember that. Don't get frustrated when you're pitching. No's are very often not nows. And then in terms of where you're going to pitch, I want you to think about where your customers are. What do they do? What do they read? What do they watch? You know, look into demographics on magazines. You know, that's where you want to get your publicity. Sure, it'd be great to be on the Today Show, but if you're a local roofer, the best you're probably going to get from that is some credibility. You know, you're likely not going to get a lot of local customers from that. You want to be in your local newspaper, on your local news, you know, talking about how to prevent leaky roofs and, you know, who to call if they have one. So then the last part of the process is finding the right journalist. And that's what Karen and I work on together, and using social media to find them, to connect with them, to share their work. And we're going to talk more about that a little bit later. But if you have all three of these in place, you guys are going to be light years ahead of your competition. So what can you do right now to get publicity? As I mentioned above, you need to come up with ways to make yourself newsworthy. You know, build a few good relationships with journalists and pitch good stories. And you're thinking, okay, Christina, what's a good story? A good story is one that's appealing to an audience. Think about what you would want to watch on TV or what you would want to read in a magazine. You know, it's not necessarily selling your product or service, it's positioning you as an expert or a source for a story. So I want you guys to really start thinking outside of the box. You know, don't think of pitching, hey, I'm great. You know, think of value you can provide an audience. And we use realtors a lot because they're just a great example to use, but any business owner. But for the realtor, you wouldn't say, "Hi, I'm Susie Realtor, buy from me." You would say, "Hi, I'm Susie Realtor, and I can show you 3 bang for your buck upgrades to do before you sell your house." That's something newsworthy because it's valuable to an audience. If you were about to sell your house, wouldn't you want to know what you could do easily and inexpensively to make it sell better? Of course you would. And it's actually a pitch that we've successfully used before. So what you're doing is you're providing value to a reader or a viewer, but you're positioning yourself as the expert so you get your name out there and you get exposure for your business. Remember, it's earned media, it's third-party credibility. So a newspaper or television program using you as the expert makes you more credible to the audience, and then that audience becomes a potential customer. So a lot of you guys are going to concentrate on your local market. That's where your customers are. And remember, the goal of publicity is to get more business or generate more leads, which is list building like we've been talking about. So if you can get yourself mentioned in the local paper or on local television, it could be a potential windfall of new business. So this is one of my favorite stories. Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank, which I love, has been quoted as saying, "If you can steal the limelight, you'll steal the market share." And that's really what we're showing you guys to do here today, right? Getting seen by more and more people. And how you can stand out in the crowd, how you can get visibility so that thousands, even millions of potential new customers can find you and not your competition. So I don't know how many of you know the backstory of Barbara Corcoran, but she built her $66 million real estate company solely on this premise. So in 1986, her real estate company was $360,000 in debt. She couldn't afford advertising, but she had to figure out a way to shake out some new business. So she decided to get creative and use the power of publicity. So Barbara calculated the average sale price of 11 property units in her company. And then she typed up this document and she put this one statistic on it and she called it the Corcoran Report. And she added a fancy tagline and said, that it covered the conditions and trends in the New York City housing market. And she mailed it to every writer at the real estate writer at the New York Times. So a week later, the New York Times ran a story about New York City apartment prices hitting an all-time low. And the first line of the article said, "According to Barbara Corcoran of the Corcoran Group." So of course she was like, ding, 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 this really works. And after that, she started publishing the Corcoran Report every 6 months. And she found that the media loved it. And she was quoted as saying, "If I'm quoted as the authority in my industry, everybody thinks I'm smart. And that's how I parlayed my brand into a very big brand with very little money because I was smart enough to publish statistics." She said, "I became a larger-than-life figure for one reason only. When you're quoted in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times constantly as the expert in the business, people assume you're a lot bigger than you are." And this is so important to realize the power of publicity and what it can mean for your business. You can make yourself the guru in an industry by being creative with some newsworthy stories. Do like Barbara did. Use local statistics and create a story. Recently on my local news, they ran a story about the county that I live in and how our classrooms were overcrowded compared to the neighboring 2 counties. And the first thing I thought is, well, if I'm a realtor, I should pitch a story about what that means for home prices and values in my county. So it's really important to know what's going on in your community so that you can pitch creative stories around that. Now, there's something called the non-traditional calendar that has all the crazy off-the-wall holidays. Everybody's probably familiar with National Pancake Day. IHOP does a big promotion. Just recently, Dunkin' Donuts did one for National Coffee Day. But there are thousands of these. I have been on television, and yes, this really exists, for National Healthy Foot Month. I had a client who's a business communications expert who wrote a book about honesty, and he's on Fox like every year for National Honesty Day. This is a cupcakery in Washington, D.C., and you're probably thinking, oh, National Cupcake Day. Nope. See the bacon down there on the left of your screen? They launched their maple bacon cupcake on National Bacon Day. And I'm just showing you a bunch just to get you thinking and get creative, and you can see how easy it is and how the media really loves this. This is my client, the Light of Healing Hope Foundation, and they have these inspirational books, and they donate them to hospices and hospitals across the country. So on this one, they were featured for Random Acts of Kindness Day. We got them in Huffington Post for National Service Day. Had another client, Be Good to People. They encourage kindness. They were featured in Parade magazine, also for Random Acts of Kindness Day. And you know, Parade is that insert that goes in every single newspaper across the country on Sundays. So pretty good viewership on that. And this one is really cool. So this is a bakery, and it was National Donut Day. But what they did is they were talking about where the donut came from. So they collaborated with the Salvation Army, because that's who brought the donut to the US. The Salvation Army, there were people in there that discovered it in France during World War I, and they brought it back to us. So you can see in the previous slide, she was wearing the old military hat, and then they interviewed the Salvation Army person. The media loves collaboration. So think about that in your pitches too. You know, who else can you bring in from your community that you can collaborate on a story with? And all these are just a handful, but you can see the media loves the non-traditional calendar, so it's a great thing to pitch. So that's phase 2. I know we've given you a ton of information, but now we want to move on quickly to phase 3, which is how to use these powerful tools together for the magic to happen. So in all of my DIY PR success, one of the key tactics that I figured out was how to use social media to get myself in front of journalists. I got myself for the first time on my local Fox station by tweeting the anchor. I was a guest on the Dr. Oz show because I connected with a producer on LinkedIn. I built a relationship with her. And this is key. I helped her book other guests for the show. She realized that I was pretty connected, and I knew a lot of people. And anytime she kind of had last minute, like, do you know anyone who works with dementia? Do you know anyone, like all these things? And I'd be like, yes, yes, yes. And I got tons of people booked for her, all very last minute. So I became a very valuable resource. So when there was a spot for me, of course, I was the person that she reached out to.
So what that means to Christina is that she was connecting with people that were influential, right? So these are people that were influencers to her. And this is really where, like, hopefully you're starting to see how this all comes together. This is really where social media comes back into play, right? Because as she mentioned, she got herself on Fox station by tweeting the anchor, and she connected with the producer on Dr. Oz on LinkedIn, right? So these are people that are influential to her. So you need to start thinking about who's influential to you. Who are the journalists and the media, or the people that are hosting the conferences, or whatever it is you're looking to do to get that visibility? Who are those influencers? And if you think influential people aren't using social media, check out this Twitter exchange. This is not political, but check out this Twitter exchange. Last year, Barack Obama joined Twitter at President of the United States. So Bill Clinton tweeted him and said, "Welcome to Twitter, President of the United States. One question, does that username stay with the office? Hashtag asking for a friend." And President Obama replied, "Good question, Bill Clinton. The handle comes with the House. No anyone interested in First Lady of the U.S." Right? So, I mean, listen, how fun is that? How fun is that? This is what they're doing, is humanizing their brands here, right? Who would have thought you could tweet at the President of the United States? You weren't able to prior to a year ago, right? So now, you know, it gets them more visibility, right? So speaking of politics, are there two people in the world looking for more visibility than these two people, right? And where do you see most of the activity in this U.S. election? You see it on social media, right? So I've been retweeted by Donny Osmond, right? How fun is that? I've had Twitter conversations with several big name celebrities. So much fun. And of course, while this is fun, the point isn't that I got retweeted by my childhood crush. The point is that you can be directing a Twitter campaign that can get your clients this kind of attention. So let's get back to the strategy for a second. Christina talked about how to find the media. What you want to do now is to start to connect with them everywhere. Because here's the thing, what do you think happens to list building efforts when there's a media appearance, right? Your list grows exponentially. You've seen this a few times now, but a bigger list brings more visibility, which brings more customers, which brings more profits, right? So we talked earlier about Twitter and about how you want to develop a strong strategy around posting with a goal in mind, and we're calling that goal list building for today. So here's what I want you to do next. I want you to spend some time researching the people behind the media outlets and connect with them on Twitter and add them to Twitter lists. So why do I want you to do that? Because now when you're going to do Twitter engagement, you go to that list. You make sure you're retweeting and sharing and commenting on as many tweets as possible from that list, right? You want your name you want your name to be on the top of mind as often as possible with those influencers, with those journalists, with those media producers, right? Because when they get that pitch from you, you want them to think, hey, I remember him. He's really active on my Twitter account. It seems really simple because it is really simple. There's so much more to this strategy across other platforms, but I wanted you to start to pull all of this together, right? See how this is starting to work together? So there's a really important component to this that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's perceived influence. When someone checks you out on social media as a result of these strategies, you need to check out, right? So refer back to phase one. You need to have a strategic posting plan and a strategic plan for growth. I have over 80,000 Twitter followers. That was done really strategically, very systematically, and it takes me very little time over the week to maintain, right, and to continue to grow. So when I pitch to speak at a conference, I tweet at the person in charge to thank them for the opportunity. I want them to be impressed when they check me out, and I think 80,000 Twitter followers is impressive. And if I had 200 followers and I haven't tweeted in 5 years, I have no credibility, I have no social proof, I have no influence. So social media done right positions you as influential so that you're taken seriously. People want to get to know you and they want you to speak at their event, be included in their promotion, be featured in their magazine or on their TV show, right? Don't you wish you had access to this information 3 years ago? So you've got a little bit more homework. I want you to think about a Twitter list and who would be on those Twitter lists, right? Think about the influencers that you can put on that list and start to grow that list and use that list. And we're going to take questions when we're done here. So if you have questions about how to do this, don't hesitate to ask us. You have to create Twitter lists for influencers, but where do you start, right? What's one thing you can leave here with today to make an impact? And I actually really hate this question because there's so many things that are important. But if I had to pick one thing for you to do today, I would say go on Facebook. Go on Facebook because everyone expects you to be there. And I wouldn't have had the same response a year ago because it was very difficult to get engagement on Facebook. But here's what is the same for you, whether you're a coach or a consultant or an author or a realtor, or if you own a retail store or a restaurant, you're a chef, whatever it is, here's what's the same for all of us. Facebook loves when we go live. Go live, turning on your phone and go live on Facebook. This is an unbelievable opportunity for us. I actually had a call this afternoon with a client, and she's got oh my God, the name is a limousine company. With a limousine company, and they never went live on Facebook. They got this new. They've partnered with Jaguar, and they've got these 2 Jaguars in. And I went, oh my gosh. Turn on your camera, sit in that Jaguar, make your viewer feel like they're sitting in the Jaguar, and show them how soft the leather is and how cool the sound system is. Maybe even get in the passenger seat and let somebody drive and show how quiet it is inside, right? Those are things that, I mean, this is a limousine company. Would you be, they're like, what? But that's so powerful for them. So if you have to do one thing, I would say, jump back on your Facebook page and start going live, because it's going to change everything about your Facebook marketing. So what about you, Christina? What do you think one thing would be?
All right, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give you 2, because in the publicity realm, you have national and you have local. So for national exposure, I want you guys to sign up for HARO. Go to helpareporter.com. I love this resource. It gives you credibility. It gives you tons of SEO. If you had to ask me the #1 resource of how I got on those 14 pages of Google, it's HARO. I'm one of their biggest success stories, so I know what I'm talking about. I know how to respond to queries. It really, really works. So what happens is you sign up, and what they're doing is they're basically marrying journalists who have queries with potential sources and experts. And 3 times a day, you get queries. And it seems overwhelming until you get used to it. We talked about that earlier. Everything's overwhelming when you first start. But what I've gotten out of it, guys, I've been on Steve Harvey because of it. That's where I met that Dr. Oz producer. I've been in Forbes. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been in Success. You know, we have a course. We have people in the course that are having amazing success. I showed you the Cami, the doctor of naturopathy. I've had people who've been on national television shows, more Dr. Oz. I had someone who had a 12-minute segment. Just last week, one of our students who's a realtor in Boston was featured on FM radio in Boston. Hello, what do you think that's doing for her business? So do it, sign up, please, please, please. If it looks overwhelming, just scan, get used to doing it. It's absolutely 110% worth the effort. Guys, I sold 6 figures on the Steve Harvey show. That's worth every minute I've put into Harrow for the last several years. And then locally, I want you to connect with the journalist who writes about your industry. You know, Google it, find them, email them, tell them what you do, tell them who you know, how you can provide value to them. Hey, I'm in this industry, but I've been around here for 20 years. I know everybody. I just want to help you out. So if you ever need a source or a resource, I'm your person. And if you have 5 or 10 minutes, I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee or bring you a cup of coffee so we can just talk a little bit more about it. And I'm telling you, one person on this call today will do this, and they are going to have amazing success getting local media coverage.
So Tracy's saying that she gets a lot of traction with Harrow, so that's really exciting to hear.
Awesome.
So what do you think? Right? There's so much more we want to teach you today, but our time is short. Do you see just how powerful social media can be when combined with a solid PR strategy? Can you see yourself applying these principles with our help? I hope you're really starting to understand that when you put a PR and social media system together, not only will you build an amazing business niche, but you'll also start to generate increased sales on a consistent basis. You'll have something so few people have. That would be pretty amazing in your business, right? So I'm not exactly sure why you showed up today, but I bet that I can guess, or I'm going to try and guess. Maybe like Christina shared in the Barbara Corcoran story, maybe you know that with some strategy, you can take your social media marketing to new levels, right? You're ready to take your business to the next level. You want to be the best in your business. Or maybe you just want to be told what to do and how to do it to provide that added level of service and get the attention you deserve, right? Or maybe you want to stand out from the crowd and really nail the support you provide so your clients and your customers feel that they're working with the best in the business. So now you may be thinking, how do I make all of this work so I can get things up and running quickly, right? If you're still here with us, then you know there's more for you and that this is a service that is much needed in the online marketing space. And you've got options. You can keep on doing what you've always done, which is often complicated and confusing to you and to your clients. And you know what Albert Einstein says, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Who's done that? I know I've done that like more times than I want to even count. Or you can walk a tried and true path to success. The path that Christina and I have taken, the path that frankly we created in many ways, one that we know works. You can finally get the results you want so that you can take your business to a whole new level. I bet you guessed which option I think you should take, right? I think it's time for you to step onto the field and dominate your market with some next level social media and PR strategies, with a system that takes all of the guesswork out of implementation and grounds and secures your business with a profitable and repeatable flood of clients and customers, right? Remember, nothing we've shared with you today is theory. Christine and I have used every single one of these strategies to create our own multiple 6-figure businesses and to help our clients have the same successes. Did it happen overnight? No way, right? Did it take a lot of trial and error? Absolutely. But what we're most excited about is it doesn't have to take you years. It doesn't have to take you all that painful trial and error that we went through, because I would have given anything for someone to have actually given me this course years ago, to have said, let's skip all that confusion and let me show you exactly what you need to do. And we're not extra special, right? I wish I had this tier. I wish I had access to exclusive resources and tools, but we just have a system that works. And I really mean it when I say, if we can do this, you can do this too.
So Karen and I would love to welcome you guys to our social media and PR program. We call it SMPR. We want to show you guys how to stand out from the crowd, how to get more customers in your door, how to stay top of mind in front of people. We want to show you how to position yourselves as rock stars in your industry and blow your competition out of the water by being in front of your potential customers all the time. And I know we've said this over and over and over again, but I mean, you guys have to realize this now. The more you're out there, the more visibility you have, the more customers are going to find you, and the more customers who find you, the more profits you're going to have. So we have this awesome course that we created. It's 100% online. It's all has short, actionable modules, because we know that, you know, people buy these courses and they never take them. They never do them. There's a bunch of fluff. So there's no fluff in here at all. We have tons of bonus videos and resources. There's an option for VIP every month, which has a private Facebook group and live Q&A calls with Karen and I. So it's super easy. It's $49 a month for the basic membership, gives you 50 credits, and $69 a month gives you the 50 credits plus the VIP, which is the private Facebook group and access to Karen and I. And we're in there all the time. The Facebook group, our team is in there. Everybody who's in there knows we love it. This is our creative time. In the VIP, you get these calls 2 times a month. We help you brainstorm ideas, and we talk to you live. This is not like you have to type in a question. You raise your hand and we bring you in on the call. We answer all of your questions. We've helped people come up with taglines for their businesses. This is your time. I mean, you get us twice a month. And keep in mind, we bill out at $500 an hour each. So for $69 a month, just that call, if you did nothing else, but the courses are fabulous. And what we want you to do is we want to increase your revenues, and we have this proven system that works, and we have so many people in the course that are having amazing success. And here's a couple testimonials from people who are already in there.
Right. So Samira said, mind-blowing info. I'm already thinking of ways to use it in my business and with my clients. Super excited, wondering what you all have in store for us, which is so fun. And then we have Michelle, who said, I love how everything is broken down into bite-sized chunks of learning. So excited to get through the rest of the module and get on our Q&A call on Thursday. And then Jet said, packed full of good information. The resources are amazing. My big takeaway from today is how to use the client intake form on myself for my business. I'm so ready to get seen and be heard. So you heard a lot today, right? And I hope that you got a lot out of it. And I'm seeing in the Q&A that lots of you are getting a lot out of this, and I'm so happy to hear that, because that's what our goal here was today. But here's what we know. We know that when you turn off your computer, you get a little amnesia about all of this, right? And life gets busy, and you just don't get to it. So we want to be there for you. We want to be your accountability. We want you to get this done. We want you to be our success story. We want to be like jumping into tears when you start telling us about your boosted Facebook ads or the radio play that you got and things like that. So we want to make this really, really easy for you. Christina mentioned that it's $49 a month, which is access to the program, and it's a whole library full of courses, and you get to choose which course you want. If you decide this month you want to learn more about Harrow, you take that. If you decide next month you want to learn more about, you want to bone up on Twitter, you can do that. You want to take one on how to get newsworthy, you can take that course. It's your choice. Every month you get additional 50 credits, and for those 50 credits you can open up an additional course of your choice, and those courses are downloadable. You can keep them for the rest of your life, right? And when you register, you also get access to some bonus videos. So we want to make it really easy for you, so we're going to offer you VIP membership for your first month for 20 bucks. Okay, so 20 bucks. There's still a bunch of you on here. If you're still here today, then this is Starbucks, folks. This is Starbucks. You get me and Christina for a month, right? You get one course of your choice that you can download. You get all the bonus videos for $20. You just have to go to socialmediaandpr.com and use coupon code SMPR20. Remember, it's the VIP that you're going to be signing up for, because you get the VIP course for $20 for that first month. And there's no obligation to this. There's no obligation. You can, if you decide that you just want that one course and you're good and you don't want to, you don't want to stay in the Facebook group or jump on the Q&A calls anymore, you can just let us know and we'll cancel your account and you don't get billed any further. We hope that you stay with us though, right? We hope that you stay with us and you want to get another course and another course, because again, all of this stuff builds on each other, and we're so confident that you're going to love us and you're going to stick with us that's why we're going to give you month one for $20. So again,
Karen,
don't close out your browser and forget all the things we told you. Close out your browser. When you close out your browser, we want you to already be a member of our program for $20, and then come on in. We invite you to the private Facebook group. This is a relatively new program. We've only been offering this for a couple of months. We had to get all the bugs out, right? So we've got all the bugs out now. We've got twice a month Q&A calls, and they're our favorite part because that's where we get to brainstorm with you. You can come into those Q&A calls and say, hey, I've been boosting a post and it's just not doing what I want it to do. Or one of our people came into us today and said, can you just take a look at my Facebook page because I just don't know what's wrong with it, right? So you get a lot of personalized attention. It's not just a digital course that you take and you have no access to the people that created it. You've got access to us. We're in the Facebook group every day and we're on the Q&A calls a couple times a month. So what we want to do now is we want to stay here and we want to take your questions. So you can either you can type your questions in the chat if anybody has any questions. We would love to take your questions, and whether it's about anything we talked about today in the webinar, or if you have any questions about the program, we want to take your questions now so that we can make sure you have all the information you need to make an informed decision. But again, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to make light of $20 because money is money and it's valuable. This is an unbelievable value for $20, an unbelievable value.
And the one thing I wanted to say, when we had Astrid talk early on about boosting the post, she's only been in our program for 2 weeks, and she's spent $9 on a boosted post and got 3 qualified real estate leads. So what do you think the commission, even if she only sells one of the 3?
And you know what, and this is in the basic Facebook course. This is definitely this is not like a Facebook ads course. This is in the basic how do I use Facebook course, because we're adding new courses to the library every single week. So right now there's about 15 courses in there, Christine, or 10 courses. So the basic Facebook course is in there, and she got this just out of that. So Oriana's saying, how long do we have to take advantage of the class for $20? You have to do it now. That coupon code is only available for today. So you've got to register today to get that coupon code, to use that coupon code. And then it goes back up. And again, that's $20 for the $69 a month course. That's for the VIP program. Christina, do you have is there anything else that you wanted to mention about this? Because there's so many good things in this program that we want you guys to know about. It's hard for us to know, though, what's important for you to hear. So we want your questions so we know we can answer them to the best of our abilities.
Right. And the thing that we love, that's our favorite thing, is the strategy that we do on these calls on Thursdays, which is so awesome. And that, we do some hand holding. There are people who come in who are like, I don't know that I can do this. And when we walk them through it in this bite-sized chunk, we had one person and she's really shy and quiet. We finally convinced her to do a Facebook Live. She had 570 views, the first time she ever turned on her phone. What do you think that does for her business? What happens when you start regularly doing it? So it's just amazing. The one person I talked about on Dr. Oz, when she got this 12-minute segment, she's in the gluten-free space, and she couldn't compete with the doctors and all the people who are there. So we branded her as the face of gluten-free. And after that, everybody in that space was like, well, who the heck is Jen Fugo? I want to talk to her. I want to be involved with her. She has over 100,000 people on her list now. We were talking about list building, and she's paid to speak all over the country about her experiences. And that was from one media appearance. So it's
now. There's somebody saying the coupon code isn't giving it $20. I'm checking on that right now. So Christina, you can keep talking. Just know that I just updated it. So I'm just double checking it while Christine is talking.
Oh, I can talk forever. But we had Yeah, okay. So we had somebody else who's in the suburbs of Philadelphia. He's a hypnotist, which is, you know, a crazy profession. And I joke with him about that too. So it's not, if there are any hypnotists on here, but he had heard that a golf pro was having trouble with his putt. So they pitched it to Fox, which was great for the golf pro because he got publicity, and it was great for the hypnotist who fixed his putt, and he got publicity. And Brian got over $50,000 in business from that one local Fox media appearance. Like I said, it's just game changer. That's why I'm so passionate about it. And media begets media. The more you do it, the more you get. Like I said, I've got those 14 pages on Google, and those are media appearances. I've never paid for SEO or keywords, or I've never done that. It's all organic.
You guys, the code is fixed. The code is fixed. I had it for I had it for 49% off, not $49 off.
Oh.
So it is now fixed. Let me just double check, because now it doesn't look to be seem to be working at all. But yeah, I just had it as for percents instead of dollars. $49. Save. Okay, let's try it again. Let me just double check. Sorry about that.
As I always say, technology is fabulous when it works, but then when you have the glitches, it's
right, exactly.
But they're all fixable. So thank you for letting us know. And I can't see the Q&A, so if anything comes in, Karen.
Yep, let me look and see if there's any questions in there. Okay, he's saying it's fixed. Okay, thanks, Gary. Thanks, Gary. I'm looking at it going, I'm looking at everything. Everything's exactly right. And I'm like, oh, that says percent, not dollars.
Yeah, oops.
So thankfully, I know how to fix this. So it's all good. So it's all good. So that code is now working. Sorry about that. And it'll be working for a little while, for a couple more hours, and then that's it. Then it's done. Then you're you're at the $49 or the $69. So hopefully now that the code is working, we can see some of you guys registering us, and we have oh, and it's Gary. It's my Gary. Now he's like, my Gary. You're Gary. I know you. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, cool. I'm excited to have you part of the program, Gary. This is going to be really, really good for your business. I don't see last names, by the way, when I'm looking at this. So, hi, Gary. Sorry about that. Yeah, I love seeing these sales comes in. I hope to see you guys in the Facebook group. We had a Q&A call today. Our next one, I think, is the 20th, right? I'm not even really sure anymore when the next one is, but check it out. I mean, honestly, check it out for $20. Check it out. We think that you're going to love it. And we want your feedback.
And if there's something you're looking for, like Karen said, we're creating content all the time. So, like somebody was talking about LinkedIn profiles. There was something specific for one industry, and Karen's doing a whole separate thing on that. So if there's something that you see a real need for that we don't have in there, just let us know in the Facebook group, and we'll get to creating content.
Exactly. Somebody asked me, because we do a lot of, I talk a lot about, there's a whole program in there for your LinkedIn profile, and then there's some LinkedIn strategy, but there really wasn't a why you need LinkedIn. So when obviously once we heard that, I'm working on that, and hopefully sometime in November, that new course will come up.
Awesome.
Awesome. I'm still not showing that it's valid, Gary. You're saying it worked for you? I guess it did, because I saw you. Oh, there we go. It worked. You have to use caps. All right. I wasn't using caps. So you have to use all caps. All right, you guys. Thank you so much all for being here today. Does anybody else have any questions? Oriana, we hope to see you joining us. I see a few of you have joined, which is awesome. We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group, and we can't wait to learn more about you and your businesses so that we can help support you and help you create programs. Lisa, excited to have you in. But we can't wait for you to help you create programs and create that visibility for your business so that you can be one of our success stories. So if anybody else has any questions, now is the time. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up because we've already taken up almost 90 minutes of your time.
And thank you, guys. Thanks for staying till the end. We are just super, super excited. It's going to be awesome.
Okay, you guys. Thanks. So, Oriana, we're going to be looking forward to seeing your stuff come through, too. You guys, we'll see you back. We'll see you. Those of you that joined, we'll see you in the Facebook group, hopefully later today. The rest of you all, we're here. If you need us, join us you know, you can find Christina and I at any time. We think, you know, you've got a couple more hours to jump in and check us out. And again, to try this out for $20 is a good deal. Give it a shot. Christina, thanks for doing this and being in the driver's seat here today.
Yeah. After a few glitches, we were all good.
Okay, everyone. We'll see you back here again for another one of these at some point in the near future. Thank you so much for your time today, and have a great day.
Take care. Bye.